So the two main styles of storage units that we sell, being freestanding, where it, a unit just sits on the deck, right? Gets bolted down to the deck, versus inset, where that part mounts into a hole, typically on a vertical, mounts into a hole and then screws through the frame. I know oftentimes a point of challenging your customer service things is explaining the process, the engineering process of, say, taking an inset and turning it into freestanding, right? Sure. It seems like it should be easy. In fact, a lot of times people are like, well, just cut off the frame, right? And it's freestanding.
It's not that simple.
It's not that simple. Talk about that a little bit. How do you explain that in a way that makes sense?
Yeah. Instead of cutting the frame away, we essentially have to build a box to match the frame. The frame is necessary. You still have to have something to attach the door to. And all of the fasteners that you would typically not see on an inset box because it's mounted inside the hole would then be visible if you just cut the frame away. So all of that, it has to have somewhere to go, and you have to have those inner walls for your drawer slides or your Plano tray runners to attach to. So essentially what we do is we build a shell around the back of the box. It goes, around the top, bottom, the sides, and then the back usually ties in all into one piece.
So you're taking the freestanding box.
Or you're taking a face mounting box. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, a face mounting box. And you're coming off the existing frame with perpendicular sides, right? And a perpendicular top and bottom to build all four sides around.
So essentially, if the box doesn't have any drawers or anything like that, you're doubling the material usage on that box.
Close to it.
From an explanation for customers, you're nearly doubling the material.
That's why a lot of the times it's more expensive and a source of, man, why is that add so much? Because you're adding quite a bit of material, you're adding quite a bit of weight, right?
Then the engineering time, right?
Yeah,
I mean, they're not necessarily able to go back into that original model and just model right off of that. They have to do an extensive amount of kind of re-engineer the entire box for that to work.
A lot of times there is a small dimensional change from what a face mounting box would be and what the listed dimensions are on the website to convert it to a freestanding box. I believe it actually loses a little bit on the width and the height by like 1/8 of an inch or so. Because normally your frame overlay, your frame width or so would be about 1.1 inches. I should say the frame reveal of what you would see. It might be a little bit larger for a face mounting box to get that larger flange, the mounting flange for attaching it.
You can shrink the frame overlay a little bit. Probably it's unnecessarily, it's an unnecessary gap. Yeah. Which means maybe you could grow it if you wanted to match the outside shape. Yeah, no, that's a...
Would you generally, as your project manager on the phone with a customer, if they've identified a box that's an inset box that they want to move to freestanding, is that usually the approach that we take from a feature standpoint, or we usually go, start with this box, but build it freestanding?
It's a great way to explain it to an engineer, right? To say, we want this design, this layout, 2 drawers on the left, Plano trays on the right with a catch-all at the top, and we just want it to be freestanding, right? That's a very easy way to explain it to an engineer what the end goal is. But it's far more complex for the engineer to take that project and make it happen than it is to just explain what we're trying to do. And that's where the time comes in. A lot of times it'll take one of our engineers anywhere between 4 to 6 hours to model a box to match the description of what we're looking for. Even if we already have something on the website that matches the dimensions of what we're looking for, it is a time-consuming process to make it happen. The part of the challenge is you can't start with something in engineering that already exists, because when you start doing that, you move things, you change things, you miss mounting holes, you forget to add them, you forget something's there, and you end up with a hole in the side of the box that isn't supposed to be there.
Right.
So they start from scratch just about on every single one of these and model it from the ground up. That way they know every mounting hole is where it's supposed to be, every pre-drilled hole, every pocket, every mill, every locator, it's right where it should be.
What are some of the cases that you're seeing people that do this? Is it just that they don't have a spot where they can inset that box and they want to lag it down to the boat, or what drives some of that conversation, you think? It's
more of the customer identifies what they're missing, right? Okay, maybe it's I want to replace the cooler that's under the leaning post, or I have this big flat space in the side of my console, or the cooler that's in front of the leaning or the console, I want to replace that and make it, something more usable because I have a cooler in the back. Or it could be a number of those things. Maybe it's I've got space on the top of my console and I'm 6'7" and I can afford to put something up there.
Sure.
Mhm.
And so those are examples of where the customer identifies the need and then goes to the website to see if they can find something that we've already done that matches what they're looking for. And a lot of times they'll get close because there is a lot of options on there. I need this box, but I need it 2 inches wider and freestanding, or 4 inches shorter but freestanding. And that's where the conversation really starts to roll in the direction of the project.